Minecraft is no stranger to adding features suggested or created by the community. In fact, there is an entire website, fittingly called the Feedback website, and a popular subreddit where they take the community's many suggestions, some of which have even been added to the game. But what's much lesser known is that there is an interesting but mostly hidden list of features which Mojang will never add to the game. They aren't allowed and in fact will remove your post and potentially ban your account from the site if you do try to suggest them. But why? Why are vertical slabs, guns, elytra chestplates, redstone on walls, blue redstone, a thirst bar, redwood forests, mining helmets, sharks, and many more requested features banned from the game? Alright, so if you go to the Minecraft Feedback website, go up here and hover your mouse over the knowledge base, click Feedback website again, and then out of these various URLs, select the previously considered suggestions hyperlink, you find yourself on this page right here, pretty hidden from normal view. This page here is made solely to document the ideas and suggestions Mojang don't want you to make posts about, and if individuals do make threads about these, they will be considered spam and will be removed. If you make too many of these forbidden suggestions, you will seemingly be banned from posting on the site in the future. Quite the foreboding warning. But why is it that such features are not allowed to be suggested, and for what reasons has Mojang decided against ever adding them? Well, let's take a look. We'll begin with general features. Furniture and decoration items are something that many mods have added to the game over its years, some of these mods accumulating downloads in the tens of millions. According to Mojang, furniture and decoration items are features which inhibit natural creativity or can already be done in other ways that are not being considered. As such, they will never be added to the game. I guess the classic stair chair and fence pressure plate table will have to make do. In a similar vein, one of Minecraft's most requested features, vertical slabs or slabs facing different directions, is also never going to be added to the game, as according to Mojang, they also inhibit natural creativity or can already be done in other ways that are not being considered. Not exactly sure how rotating this 90 degrees inhibits natural creativity, nor am I sure how vertical slabs can be created in other ways not being considered, but hey, maybe Mojang knows something we don't. The reasoning for this one definitely is not as sound as the furniture one though. Guns are not allowed in Minecraft either. It seems that anything that remotely resembles a gun is not on, as Mojang states. If it can be classified as a gun, it is also classified as a solid no. Quite the bit of passive-aggressive sass from whatever employee wrote this. Anywho, if you've been active in the Minecraft multiplayer community the past year, this won't come as a surprise to any of you, as basically 1 year ago there was a huge drama where a bunch of gun-related Minecraft servers were told they couldn't have guns by Mojang enforcement despite being fine and operational for over a decade. For whatever reason, Mojang does not want guns in the vanilla game. This raises an interesting question though. As stated here, anything resembling guns, even cannons, are not allowed. But we can technically make cannons with TNT that function the same as actual cannons, arguably even more deadly. And not only that, but we have bows and arrows, which like cannons, shoot a deadly projectile. So what's the hard line here? Or maybe these anti-gun rules only became a thing after Microsoft took over in 2014, but they didn't want to remove core Minecraft features like TNT and bows from the game, so just let them be. Although we did get crossbows a few years later, which are even more gun-like than anything else in the game, so maybe that's not true at all. Voice chat is an interesting Minecraft mod. Proximity voice chat mods have become increasingly popular the past 2 to 3 years, with YouTubers using them for series and them being present in Civilization type videos. Many servers such as my own, OG-network.net, even allow players to use proximity voice chat mods as they really add to the fun. But Mojang are not going to add it, reason being that there are lots of other services which we can use. Body fluids, including animal body fluids, are also not a fit for Minecraft and will not be added to the game anytime soon or ever. All forms of poop and bodily fluids have already been rejected from being put in the base game. Interestingly though, as one commenter pointed out, the llama's ability to attack with spit technically means that a body fluid is in the game, but I think Mojang are mainly referring to body fluids in an item or block form. And the next forbidden suggestion is probably one Mojang are well and tired of hearing by now, and that's the other mobs that lost the 2017 mob vote, with them specifically emphasizing that the hovering inferno will not be added, likely the most highly requested one of the three. Now this is an interesting one. As I said in this video's intro, Minecraft has in the past taken the community suggestions, even going so far in some cases to add features of mods to the vanilla game. game. I made an entire video about that here. However, it seems that era is over, as Mojang states here that they are no longer adding community-made mods to the base game of Minecraft. Kind of sad, as some of the mods added in the past revolutionized and changed the game forever, even on a technical level, but I guess it's no longer the small indie game it once was, and such additions are not feasible anymore. One major complaint amongst Minecraft players is that of the differences between Bedrock and Java. While developers have gone on record stating that their goal is to continue making Java and Bedrock more and more similar over time, one major and game-breaking difference between the two versions, that being the different systems of redstone, are supposedly going to remain functionally different for the time being. So there you have it, Bedrock and Java will never be entirely the same, and one of the biggest and most frustrating differences between them, being their differing redstone systems, will forever remain a point of controversy. The last two forbidden suggestions in the general features category are kind of funny. Mojang will not add any feature, creature, or anything related to real-life politics or religious things. They even acknowledge that this is a pretty vague rule, but it's fair enough. Also, they explicitly state that they will not be changing the name of the game. Not sure why people were suggesting that in the first place. We now move on to forbidden biome and structure suggestions, the first of which being lying skeletons in the world determined to be not fit for Minecraft back in May of 2019. Now, I'm not exactly sure what is being referenced in this date here, but I found this Reddit post from around the time that suggested lying skeletons, even including some cool models which also linked to a feedback post, although it seems it is no longer available to the public. What's interesting about this is that we technically do have skeletons in the world in the form of fossils, but I guess making them human or human-resembling skeletons would make the game too dark or violent in Mojang's eyes, and as such they won't be added. Although I have to say, this is my favourite suggestion by far, and I think it would really add to the immersiveness of the wild Minecraft world, its caves, and of course the game's many structures. So it's a bit of a shame that Mojang have taken a hard stance against it. Roofed forest treehouses as well as buildings for illusioners are another forbidden feature. This is pretty vague and specific, but I came across this suggestion from around the time that suggested illusioner treehouses that would generate in roofed forests, primarily known as dark oak forests. These would have contained some loot in them. It's an interesting suggestion for sure, but also very specific. I have no idea why such a specific and comparatively forgettable suggestion was permanently blacklisted by Mojang. Kind of strange. A redwood forest biome, a biome which actually exists in various mods containing a reddish tinted wood which comprise gigantic redwood trees, is another Minecraft feature which will never make it into the game due to them being too similar to mega taiga biomes. Mushroom villages are also supposedly not very likely to make it into the game, although I couldn't find the reference source on that anywhere. And finally, witch huts will apparently not be seeing any updates or additions and are currently determined to be fine as is. Alright, so let's move on to forbidden blocks, tools, and items, starting with the subscribe item. 75% of you seem to not have access to that one, but don't fret, it's been added in the latest update. You can click it to make sure it works, no pressure. Anyways, the first forbidden item is lava boats, or just general lava transportation. As stated here, the Strider, which at the time had yet to be released, would fulfill this purpose. If you're like me and prefer Minecraft's older textures, one common issue you probably run into when using programmer art is that many of the game's newer blocks obviously don't always work with the older art style. Normally this is fine, but it's very much noticeable on blocks such as the Netherrack variants, Warped and Crimson Nylium, both of which have the newer Netherrack texture at the bottom, designed to work with normal Netherrack, but not with the old Netherrack texture. Luckily, community-made resource packs do fix this, and such issues will always have to be the ones community fixes in the future, as Mojang has no plans to support programmer art with newer textures in the future. One of my favorite features of Optifine and other similar mods has always been dynamic lighting, allowing players to hold items like torches that carry and move the light with them. This is a feature which has never made it into vanilla though, and never will, as it seemingly had a negative impact on gameplay and thus was rejected by developers. So how do mods do it no issue then? Well, the way mods do it is purely visual. So for example, if you threw a torch on the ground in a dark cave, sure it looks lit up, but this is only a visual change, and the game still sees this area as pitch black and will still, for example, spawn mobs here. The way Mojang wanted to do it was probably the proper way, where the game actually recognizes this as a light source and game mechanics change around it, and it seemingly was too hard to implement. In the Minecraft 1.14 trailer, released about 5 years ago now, around the 44 to 45 second mark, there is a brief few frames where a villager tosses out a blue colored redstone. Players with a keen eye caught onto this, and for some time, it was a commonly rumored theory that we might be getting a blue version of redstone in the future. Ultimately, Unfortunately, this turned out to be a mistake in the trailer, and the idea of a secondary redstone in the form of bluestone was rejected by Mojang, with them instead focusing on existing redstone systems. And speaking of redstone, any of you who would have dabbled in it in the past would have likely built timers or clocks using various redstone contraptions. As it turns out, Mojang states here that the game will not be seeing any timer blocks, commands, items, or enchantments in the future. Blocks and items I can understand, not sure why we can't have a timer command, whatever though, but enchantments? Was there some weird time-related enchantment planned at one stage? Seems odd. Continuing on the topic of redstone, a popular suggestion was to give redstone the ability to be placed on walls going up vertically. This is actually marked under review and has remained so for almost 6 years now, but Mojang do not want to hear any other related suggestions to it. So it seems they maybe considered it, or still are considering it, but are unlikely to add it in the near future. Piston push limits will also not be changing, as they are limited intentionally by design. A feature that has been suggested since the beginning of Minecraft is the ability for torches to eventually run out and be extinguished or partially affected by rain. This feature unfortunately will never see the light of day, likely for similar reasons to the dynamically lit torch. Sleeping bags will also never be added to the game, as beds are already just so unique apparently, and no additional furniture items similar to beds will ever make it into the game either. Mojang has also taken a hard stance against suggestions relating to stacking ender chests, double ender chests, or any similar ideas. Pretty interesting hard stance to take, but I guess maybe they want to focus on alternative storage additions such as the bundles, rather than just adding additional space to pre-existing storage items. 6 years ago in 2018, a post suggesting the addition of a new ore called silver was made to the Minecraft suggestions subreddit. In that suggestion was also a miner's helmet, a helmet crafted with gold and silver that shoots a beam of light forwards. This was ultimately rejected for being too modern. Well, I thought it would be rejected for the same reason the other lighting changes would be, but too modern is different, I guess. If we go by the logic of the game being set in a medieval time period, it does make sense, but we also have stuff like redstone, which is basically electricity, so not sure if that logic is consistent. Now, interestingly, foods that are in mods such as pizza for example, are not the kinds of food Mojang wants to add in the future, as they want food suggestions to be focused on crops and recipes instead. We do have prepared type foods like mushroom stew in the game already though, but guess we won't be seeing anything else similar in the future. On to building and game mechanic associated forbidden features now, the first of which is anything at all related to bedrock breaking. That is not ever going to happen through non-exploit means. Dyeable or paintable wood also will not be seeing inclusion into the game, an intentional design limitation, meaning it's also unlikely we'll ever see paint added to the game in general. And for all of you disappointed by the fact that we won't be getting vertical slabs, combined slabs where you can put two different kinds of slabs together are also not going to happen. Mirrors are an interesting feature Mojang has taken a stance against. Now, I once again could not find the source that is being referenced here, but reflective blocks or just reflections in general have never really been a vanilla Minecraft type of thing, so it is likely not going to be added because it's not Minecraft enough. Here's a game mechanic we will never see that absolutely crushed me, and that's a toggle to switch back to 1.8 or legacy combat. As I'm sure you are aware, in 2016 with the release of 1.9, Minecraft's combat was drastically changed, and this change went down as the most controversial Minecraft update ever. To date, almost 10 years later, some of Minecraft's most popular servers still remain on 1.8 because of this, and people refuse to play versions after 1.8 because they disliked the new combat so much. The combat changes were so controversial that Jeb even began working on a new type of combat in a special snapshot version that was more of a mix between 1.8 and 1.9, although that has seemingly been put on an indefinite pause. And I agree, to be honest, modern combat is boring and slow, but has gradually gained popularity the past few years. Now, the reason I believe they won't add a toggle is because they don't want to have to balance two different PvP systems and design game mechanics around them. But personally, I think that it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, all that would have to be done is disabling shields and slightly changing the damage values of some weapons such as axes, and it would be fine. But Mojang for some reason are completely against it, despite it being very much feasible. One aspect common in survival games which Minecraft lacks is a thirst bar or mechanic. This has actually been discussed by Mojang, but they seemingly would rather focus on hunger mechanics instead. Mojang will also not be adding an undo command to the game anytime soon. Mixed potions containing multiple effects, are also not a feature that will be added to the game in the future. That being said, we technically do have one mixed potion in the game, that being the potion of Turtle Master, so I think Mojang instead don't want players to be able to combine potions together, rather than make special potions with multiple effects. Elytras will also never be able to be combined with chest plates, as part of the trade-off of having an elytra is making it reduce your armor. And sun blindness will also not be added, quite an odd suggestion there. On to some mob related forbidden features now. Bees will not be changed to be smaller, they will remain as is. Alligators, crocodiles, sharks or other similar mobs and features will not be added to the game. Supposedly all hostile mobs need to be fantasy creatures. That's actually an interesting design philosophy, and it is consistent with the game's current hostile mob roster. Real life animals do exist in the game as neutral or passive mobs like the bat though, but maybe Mojang won't add typically dangerous animals like sharks to the game as they have to be hostile. It doesn't make sense for them to be passive or neutral. Although polar bears do exist, which are neutral mobs that will only attack if attacked first, so that doesn't quite make sense either, it's inconsistent. Ghost miners, ghosts that would lead you through caves, were at one point considered but ultimately rejected, and in a similar vein, mummies and pyramids were also rejected. Mummies for the reason that they are too similar to husks. Not exactly seeing the resemblance here, but alright. And unfortunately, dolphins will never be able to be tamed or ridden, nor will we ever see the addition of baby dolphins for some reason. Drowned will also not ever drown you as an attack. That makes sense as I feel like that would be an annoying mechanic to go up against, and there will also be no drowned dolphin jockeys, especially if they have tridents. That one seems oddly specific. Despite being a relatively popular suggestion and present in many mods, ducks will also not be added to the game. And also Herobrine and other popular Minecraft creepypasta characters will not be added. This one's pretty funny as well. Herobrine is probably the most requested addition to Minecraft in the game's history. Notch would know that all too well. Villagers will never fight, there will never be guards, knights, soldiers or warriors, they will not follow players, and they will never be tamed, able to be hired to help, or enslaved as they have their own things to do. They don't want to build things either, they just want to exist. Someone should probably let Mojang know that most villagers are ugly treated worse than slaves and aren't being used for anything except the Minecraft equivalent of a cage farm, so maybe giving them some additional usage would be beneficial. Villagers are genderless, and players will never be able to have relationships or make babies with the villagers, despite what some Minecraft Monster School videos may suggest. And that about wraps it up. Check out my Patreon for exclusive content down below, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching.